I was 17 when I got drunk for the first time, and though I didn't have the words for it then, the exciting part about all of it was that for the first time that I could ever remember, I stopped caring about what people thought about me. For better or for worse, because I definitely didn't know how to handle myself and I was pretty obnoxious. The night ended with me on the bathroom floor, totally miserable and with the very first hangover of my life. I was regretting my actions and was pretty scarred, and then didn't touch alcohol for the next year. But then I was off to college. I was thousands of miles away from home, and I had to make friends for the first time in probably 5-ish years. I felt so lost and insecure, awkward, and didn't know how to strike up conversations with anyone. But I knew it would be a whole lot easier if I were drunk. So I went out, procured some drinks, and started my partying phase. For the most part, I liked who I was when I was loosened up. I would make people around me laugh. I was bold. I was having a good time. And I felt important to the people around me. I felt like I was adding to the social scene and not being dead weight and seeming like I was miserable. And the people around me liked me when I was drunk. And don't get me wrong, I had plenty of great times with my friends and a ton of good memories. But I also knew at the time and after doing some reflection that I was deeply unsatisfied and felt like I was being inauthentic. While I was drinking, I would have a quietness in my mind that was totally unfamiliar to me. I wouldn't be worried about how I looked, if I was being weird or not, if people thought I was fat or ugly or unfunny. I could just exist. And that's not how I operate sober. I had always been so concerned with what everyone around me thought, and I felt like I made people uncomfortable just by existing. The drinks would wear off, and those insecurities would come back twice as strong, and I would be also concerned with wondering how I acted the night before and if I was well behaved, and anxiety. It was also always a little upsetting, feeling like I was back to reality and this version of myself that I didn't really like. And while being in that headspace, I felt that no one around me really liked me when I wasn't drunk either. I know that's not the truth, but that's how I was thinking. I didn't realize how little I actually knew about myself, and that I was probably chronically running away from getting to know who I was until I met someone who just asked me some questions about me and I had no idea how to answer. I didn't know what my true passions were, what my biggest dream in life was, what I fought for, what I stood for, what I was proud of. I was so concerned with being someone that everyone liked that I didn't care who I actually was. It's upsetting realizing how little you actually know about yourself. I felt kind of dumb and a little embarrassed to not have answers to any of those questions. And then for the next year, I started thinking on them for a bit. It was my senior year of college, and I still felt like I had to kind of make the most. And so I would go out with friends, but the desire to drink and the feeling that I had to drink in order to have a good time and be an important person, a valid person, that feeling was decreasing the more and more I focused on trying to figure out what it means to be me. I would say no to more things, and I would try to put myself in new situations and go after the stuff that I found interesting in fleeting moments, but had always prevented myself from actually trying. The weekend of June 14th and 15th, 2025 was a big one. On the 14th, I graduated college and immediately flew back home and the next day was my best friend's wedding. And it was an awesome time getting to celebrate them. I had a whole bunch of wine and found myself once again on a bathroom floor early the next morning. And I knew that I had fallen back into bad habits of trying to be the life of the party or the person that all these strangers enjoyed and wanted to meet and be around. And as I sat there once again, I just knew and finally realized that it never has to be like this again. I didn't have to wake up with gaps in my memory or feeling like garbage and unable to make a productive rest of my day. I could just do the harder work of trying to get to know myself and letting go of the hold of other people's opinions. I finally accepted that in order to become myself, that would mean I would be my own person with opinions, thoughts, and views that don't 100% mesh with every other person I encounter in my life, and that I wouldn't be everyone's best friend in the whole wide world. But I was finally willing to trade that for a life where I was free to actually explore whatever it was I wanted to do, even though I had no clue what that was at the time. I was never super into the process of drinking itself. I really just wanted to be drunk, so it's not something that I miss at all. But the issue wasn't whether or not I was an alcoholic. It was that I was using alcohol in order to completely avoid myself and to just turn myself into someone who didn't care about anything but for the wrong reasons. That wasn't the real me. Drunk Lindsay is not the real Lindsay. I didn't know what the real Lindsay was, and I think that's still a work in progress. I don't think that will ever end, because each day I learn new lessons and I get excited to see what else I uncover. So today is June 15th, and I felt compelled to make this video because I could not imagine the life that has unfolded in the past year. It's wild to see how much things can change, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I'm finding myself taking more risks and being okay with falling on my face or being cringe. I definitely wouldn't have tried to film a YouTube video or even thought about posting it a year or even a couple of months ago. So this is very new. It's a lot of fun getting to know yourself and becoming your own friend. So get to know yourself.